Hello, ladies and gentlemen. That amazing sound that you're hearing every time that I fire this rifle is actually generated from a PureData plugin that I created specifically for use in Wwise and Unreal. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to show you how to integrate Wwise with the Unreal Engine itself and how to register custom Wwise plugins with the Unreal Engine. And when I say custom Wwise plugins, I mean custom Wwise plugins like the PureData patches, which we have been creating in the previous video in this series. Let's get started. For this video, you will need to download and set up the following software. I am not going to go over how to install and set these up in the video because there's already lots of supporting documentation out there for the software I'm about to list. You can find the download links and some supporting documentation for this software in the video description below. The links that you find in the description box are in the order that you should download and install them. First, you're going to need to download Microsoft Visual Studio 2017 Community version 15.9. When you do, make sure to include C++ support as part of the install, and also be aware that it is disabled by default. So you're going to need to pay attention when you're installing Visual Studio 2017. Next, make sure you install the .NET Framework SDK version 4.6.2. Again, I've included a link in the description for this video. Next, we're going to need to build the Unreal Engine from the source files. I have included a link below which explains exactly how to do this. Make sure that you follow all of the instructions in the link. And finally, we're going to be working with Wwise 2019.1.1.6997 in this video. When you install Wwise 2019, you are going to be prompted for which platforms you would like to install for. Make sure that you install for Mac OS and Windows platforms, as these are required for integration with the Unreal Engine. You may have noticed that we are going to be using a newer version of Wwise than we were using in the previous videos. That means that if I'm compiling a new PureData plugin, which I will be doing, I'm going to need to change the version of Wwise that's in my heavy compiler. So we do that by going to the HVCC master folder, navigating to the generators folder, and then going to C2 Wwise, and opening c2wise.py. So I'm going to open this file, and it will open in PyCharm, which is the IDE we've been using in the previous videos. And I'm going to navigate to line 58 right here, where it says Wwise SDK version. And I'm going to change this to the version that I said we were going to be using in these videos, which is 2019.1.1.6977. Go ahead and hit Control S to save this file, and let's exit out of PyCharm. All right, as I mentioned before, I have a new PureData patch which I'm going to be using for this video, and I thought it might be useful just to quickly go through the process of compiling a PureData patch into a Wwise plugin and then installing that plugin into Wwise. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my PureData patch and drag it to this window here. And what I did here was I created something similar to a gunshot. All right, so that's the patch. Now what I'm going to do is compile it using the heavy compiler, which I showed you how to do in the previous videos in this series. So I'm going to go ahead and close out my patch, close this window, navigate to my HVCC folder, where the hvcc.py file is located, click in the navigation bar, and type in cmd in order to open a command prompt. Drag this command prompt to this window. And you'll see when the command prompt opens, it opens already targeting the directory which we opened it from. In previous videos, I showed you how to prepare your command line scripts in a text editor in order to paste them into a command prompt for compiling your PureData plugins. So here I have my scripts already prepared. I open my command prompt, and I grab the first line, which is going to run the heavy compiler on the PureDataPatch in order to create the plugin files. So I go to my command prompt and Control V to paste and hit enter. I navigate back into my PureData folder, and here I can see that these 4 folders were generated, which means that the generation was successful. Now, the next step is, of course, to create the binaries for the plugin. To do that, I navigate into the Wwise folder that was created, into the VS 2015 folder, and I create another command prompt from here. So I'm going to get rid of this first command prompt, click into the navigation bar, type in CMD, and that's going to generate another command prompt for me that's pointing into that VS 2015 folder. Then I copy the script that I prepared, and I already gave you the instructions for how to build this script and where to find it in a previous video. I copy it and paste it into the command prompt. And we see that the build succeeded with 2 warnings and 0 errors. We can safely ignore the warnings. We just want to make sure there are 0 errors. In order to make sure that this built properly, what I do is I navigate back into the PureData folder, into the Wwise folder, and here in the build folder under Win, x64, and release, I should see a list of these particular files. And that's how I know that my plugin was successfully compiled. Now that we've successfully compiled the plugin, we're ready to install it in Wwise 2019. In the previous videos in this series, I showed you how to install the .dll and .xml files into the appropriate Wwise folder. So I'm going to quickly do this again in this video. What I'm going to do first is get rid of this command prompt and this text editor window, and I'm going to create another File Explorer window. Then I'm going to navigate to the install location of the Wwise 2019 folder. And I'm going to go into the authoring folder, x64, release, bin, plugins. I'm going to grab the DLL and .xml files which have this Wwise source authoring plugin.dll and Wwise source authoring plugin.xml suffixes, copy them by right-clicking and selecting copy, and then pasting them in the plugins folder in the Wwise engine. That's all we really need to do to install these in Wwise. Now let's create a new Wwise project to make sure that our plugin is working properly. Alright, so close out these windows, and then I'm going to open up the Wwise launcher. I'm going to navigate to the Wwise tab, and next to the 2019 version, click Launch Wwise. Now I'm going to create a new project. You can save it in any location that you like, and I'm going to name my project, my new project, Unreal PD Gunshot. You can name it anything you like. And I don't want to import this asset group to my Wwise project, so I'm going to uncheck Synth1. Then I'm going to click OK. You can safely close out this license manager warning. And I'm going to go ahead and maximize the window. All right, let's start in the Audio tab in Wwise. Under the Actor Mixer hierarchy, let's create a new sound SFX, and I'm going to call this Gunshot. Now I click on Gunshot and press F5 to make sure that I'm in the authoring window, or rather the designer layout of Wwise. Here in the Contents Editor, we want to press Add Source, and here we should see our Gunshot plugin. If you do not see your Gunshot plugin here, or the name of the plugin, whatever name you gave your plugin, it means that there was something wrong with the way that you installed the plugin into Wwise. So go back, review the other videos, or review the earlier part of this video to make sure that everything was installed properly. So I'm going to choose Gunshot, and then immediately I can come to the transport control and hit play. And you can hear that my Gunshot is working. Okay, let's keep this simple. And now I just need to create an event for this sound SFX. So I'm going to right click on Gunshot, select New Event, and select Play. Now when I go into the Events tab, you'll see when I expand the default work unit that my Play Gunshot is here. Now I'm going to go to the Sound Banks tab. Under the default work unit, I'm going to create a new sound bank, and I'm going to name it Main, all lowercase. Now I'm going to press F7 to bring up the sound banks layout, and I'm going to expand the default work unit, check the default work unit, which includes the main sound bank, and then check the Windows platform and the English language. Then I'm going to drag from the Events tab the default work unit onto the main sound bank. Now this is a really neat trick because what it means is anytime I create a new event in the default work unit, it will automatically be added to the main sound bank, and then I just generate the sound bank. Here in the generation window, you see that the main and init sound banks were both created, and we have no errors. So I'm going to close this window, press Ctrl S to save the project, and then minimize the Wwise project. Alright, in this section I'm going to show you how to integrate Wwise as a plugin in the Unreal Engine, and also I'm going to show you how to register our newly made Gunshot PureData plugin that we made for Wwise in the Unreal Engine also. Now before we get started, just make sure that you have downloaded the Unreal Engine source files. And once you've done that, what you should end up with is an Unreal Engine folder like this, wherever you have chosen to clone the repository. And inside it should look like this, where you have a UE4.sln file. And this is going to all show up after you have run setup.bat and generateprojectfiles.bat. Again, I have included a link for instructions on how to download the Unreal Engine source files in the description in this video, so I'm not going to be covering that. Once you have Unreal Engine source files set up on your computer and running, what we're going to do is then go to the Wwise launcher and download the integration files for Unreal. You can do that by opening the Wwise launcher and navigating to the Unreal Engine tab, and then here next to Recent Unreal Engine Projects, open up the drop-down and choose Download Wwise Integration to use as an engine plugin. Once you do that, you should end up with a folder like this. I put everything into a folder called Unreal Integration, and when I open it up, I have a folder called Wwise, and when I open that, I have these folders included. Now we're going to take this integration and we're going to install it into the Unreal Engine. First, I'm going to move this window to the side. And then I'm going to open up another window with my Unreal Engine files inside. Now, I'm going to go to the Engine folder in the Unreal Engine source files. I'm going to go to Plugins, and this is where this Wwise folder is going to live. So I'm going to copy the Wwise folder from the Unreal integration files and paste it into Unreal Engine plugins. Your next step is to go into this newly copied Wwise folder and right-click to create a new folder and call it Third Party. Once you've done that, you're going to navigate to the Wwise 2019.1.1 SDK by going to Local Disk, Program Files x86, Audio Kinetic, Wwise 2019.1.1 SDK. Now, in the third-party folder, which you just created, you're going to grab all of the Win32 and x64_VC folders and copy them into third-party. Once that's done, copy the Include folder into the third-party folder as well. Now, right-click and create a new folder called Samples, all lowercase. In the Wwise 2019 SDK, go into the Samples folder, copy Sound Engine, and paste it into the Samples folder. Once we've done that, that's pretty much all we need to do in order to integrate Wwise as a plugin in the Unreal Engine. Now we're going to install the plugin files for the PureDataPatch that we created into the Wwise plugin that we just integrated with the Unreal Engine. So I'm going to open up two windows. The first window is going to be the Unreal Engine source files. The second window is going to be the Wwise folder that was created when we compiled our PureDataPatch using Heavy. So I'm going to go into the Wwise folder and then Build, Windows x64 Release, and here are all of the files that we need to dump into the Unreal Engine. I'm going to navigate first in the Unreal Engine to Engine, Plugins, and then go to the Wwise folder that we just integrated with the engine. Third party, include, AK, plugin. Do you see all these header files? We're going to add the header file for our PureData plugin to this list. So I'm going to copy it and paste it in this folder. Next, I'm going to navigate to third party and the Win32_VC150 and x64_VC150. We need to copy the library file from here into these two folders. So I'm going to copy the library file, double click on the folder, and we need to copy it into all four of these folders. So first I'm going to go into Profile, Library, Paste. Go back out to Profile Static, Library, Paste. Release, Library, Paste. And finally, Release, Static Library, Paste. Now that was just Win32. We also need to paste these libraries into the x64 VC150 folder. Profile, library, paste. Profile static, library, paste. Release library, paste. And finally, release static, library, paste. That's all that we have to do as far as copying and pasting files is concerned. Next, we're actually going to register these plugins with the Unreal Engine in the code. So let's open up our Unreal Engine source files, navigate to this UE4.sln or solution file, right-click, and open with Microsoft Visual Studio 2017. Now, it is possible to register plugins on your individual Unreal projects, but if we register our plugins with the Unreal Engine source files, then every time you create a new project with this Unreal Engine source, then those custom plugins that you made with PureData or any other program will already be registered with the engine. So let's open up some files. Go to File, Open, File, and navigate to the Unreal Engine source files. Mine is here in Unreal Engine 4.22. In the Unreal Engine folder, navigate to Engine, Plugins, Wwise, Source, AK Audio, Private, and then find the AK Audio Device.cpp file and click Open. That's the first file that we have to manipulate. The next one, go to Open, File, and navigate out to AK Audio and find this akaudio.build.cs file and click Open. First, let's deal with AK Audio Device.cpp. You're going to navigate down to line 114 or thereabouts, and you're looking for this comment that says Add Additional Plugins Here. Now, I want you to notice that up above this comment, we have these #include AK plugin blah 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 .h, right? Well, we're going to do the same thing with the header file of our plugin. So let's go ahead and copy this line and paste it below Add Additional Plugins Here. Now what we're going to do is replace this AK Opus Decoder Factory header file with the header file from our custom PureData plugin. So I'm going to navigate to the Wwise folder for my PureData plugin, Build, Win, x64 Release, and I'm going to grab the name of this header file, copy it using Control-C, and then navigate back into Visual Studio. And I'm going to paste it over this previous header file. Now we navigate to akaudiobuild.cs, and let's scroll down to about line 390 something or so. It's down here pretty far. Okay, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for this big list of AddWise lib targets lines here. And down here around line 406, there's AddWise lib target, and then there's AddWise plugin target. Well, we want to add another line for AddWise lib, which is to add a Wwise library. So we're going to copy line 406 for a previous target and then paste it right below the line that we just copied. And add_wise lib stands for add_wise library. So what we're going to do is replace this AK recorder effects string with the name of the library for our PureData plugin. So I'm going to minimize Visual Studio, grab the name of the library for my PureData plugin without the .lib extension. So I'm just going to grab hv_gunshot_wise source engine, but not the .lib suffix. Copy it using Control-C, go back into Visual Studio 2017, and then paste it inside the double quotes, and save. Every time you register a new custom plugin with the Unreal Engine, you need to add it to these two files, akaudiodevice.cpp, akaudio.build.cs, just like I showed you here. Once you've done that, now it's time to build the Unreal Engine. When you're ready to build, make sure that Development Editor is your solution configuration and that your solution platform is Win64. Right-click on the UE4 target and select Build. This process can take anywhere from 10 to 40 minutes. So you might want to pause the video here and wait for your Unreal Engine to build. Okay, when all is said and done and you've built the Unreal Engine source files, what you want to see down here in the log is this build 3 succeeded, 0 failed, 0 up to date, and 0 skipped. The most important thing you want to consider is you don't want to see anything in this failed section. If you have 0 succeeded and some number failed, it means you have errors in the build. And what you're going to want to do is look in this log and try to find where those errors are originating and why they are originating. If you have errors, go ahead and feel free to post them in the comments and we'll try to get them resolved as fast as possible. Now that we've built our Unreal Engine and registered our plugins, let's go ahead and start a new Unreal project and get it integrated with Wwise so that we could check to make sure that our plugin is working properly. Now that we've built our Unreal Engine from source files, it's time to open up the editor and create a new Unreal project, which we can then connect with the Wwise project that we created. So how do we open up the Unreal editor from the Unreal Engine source files? As you can see, when I open up the folder, there's no editor binary immediately visible. Instead, we have to go to Engine, Binaries, Win64, and look for the UE4 editor. So I'm going to scroll down until I see here the UE4 editor exe. I'm going to right-click, send to desktop in order to create a new shortcut. I'm going to drag my shortcut here into the window and close out this window. Now I'm going to warn you that when you double click on this editor executable for the first time, it's going to take a long time to open up your editor. It may hang on 45% for a long time. I want to say roughly 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. This is normal. Don't quit the program or exit out of it. Just wait for it to be done and eventually the editor will pop up. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on this executable shortcut in order to open the editor. Note that it only takes a long time to open the first time that you run the editor executable. Subsequently, it will take a much shorter time and open up much faster. All right, let's go ahead and select a new project and choose the first person blueprint option. Choose scalable 3D or 2D quality, no starter content, and choose for mobile or tablet. This doesn't really matter, it just keeps the project a little bit smaller than including all of the options. Name your project whatever you'd like and save it wherever you would like. I'm going to call mine PD_gunshot08 as this is the 8th iteration that I've created while creating this video. And then choose Create Project. All right, when you start up your project, it should look something like this. Your shaders might not be compiled yet, so all of this might look untextured or gray. That's normal, not a problem. All you have to do is just wait a little bit. You also might get a warning that's saying that Wwise settings are not set. Do you want to set them now? Go ahead and click yes. And I already exited out of that window, but I'm going to go through it now to show you how to make sure that Wwise is set up properly. So what you want to do is go to Edit, Project Settings, and then scroll down to Wwise and click on Integration Settings. Make sure that the Wwise project path is pointing to the Wwise project that we created earlier in this video, or whatever Wwise project you wish to connect it to. So I saved mine in Wwise Projects, PD Toots, and Unreal PD Gunshot, and I'm going to select Open and find the .wproj file in the project folder. And you'll get this warning about could not establish a WAPI connection. That's okay. We're not using the Wwise authoring API at this time. That's for a future video. And then one more thing we have to check is to go here to the user settings and make sure that the Wwise Windows installation path is pointed at our Wwise 2019.1.1 installation, or whatever version you happen to be working with. Just make sure it's consistent. We can then exit out of this window. Now, you also might not have the Wwise Picker, which is the window that I just X'd out of. In order to bring up the Wwise Picker window, go to Window, and you'll find Wwise Picker here. And then you can grab it and tab it wherever you'd like. I'm going to set mine right next to the content browser. The next window I'm going to set up is the log. So go to Window, Developer Tools, and choose the output log. All right, let's make sure now that Unreal and Wwise are talking to each other and that the plugin is working correctly. Let's open up the Content Browser tab, right-click, create a new folder. I'm going to call this folder Audio, and I'm going to open up the audio folder. The first thing I'm going to do is create a bank object, which is going to be the stand-in for my Wwise sound banks. So I'm going to right-click, navigate to Audio Kinetic, and choose Audio Kinetic Bank. The name of this bank has to match exactly the name of the bank you created in Wwise. Now, if you remember, I called my bank main, all lowercase, so I'm going to call this main. Now I'm going to create an event that's going to match the event that I created in Wwise. And I can do that simply by dragging from the Wwise Picker. So in the Wwise Picker window, we know it's working when we open up the event folder under the default work unit and we see the event that we created in our Wwise project. This event is called play_gunshot. If I open up the Wwise project, under the Events tab in the default work unit, you'll see that that's mirroring exactly the event play_gunshot that I have here in Wwise. So in order to create an AK sound object, I'm going to click and drag my event into the content browser, and it automatically creates an audio kinetic event object. Now double-click the object and connect it with the main sound bank. This is why we have to create the sound bank first, is because every audio kinetic event needs to be associated with a sound bank. So I connect it with the main sound bank, X out of this window, and then Control-Shift-S in order to save all. We can now finally connect this PureData gunshot plugin sound to the gunshot action in the project. So if I hit play now, and I hit my mouse button, you'll see that it's playing the default sound for the project that comes with the first-person shooter package. But we don't want that. We want to use the sound that we created with our patch, right? So I'm going to escape out of there, come up to Blueprints, navigate to Open Blueprint Class, and find the first-person character. I'm going to tab the first-person character blueprint, and then down here there's a section called Spawn Projectile. If you're not familiar with how to work in blueprints in Unreal, I highly suggest that you spend some time in Unreal going through the official tutorials and learning how blueprints work. It's a really great way to make games, to learn scripting, and to do some really cool stuff with audio. So in the Spawn Projectile section, I'm going to right-click and drag in order to move over to the right side of the section. And you'll see here there is a Spawn Actor first-person projectile node, and then off of that, we see a Play Sound at Location node. Now, that node is the one that's playing the default sound right now. So we don't want that. We want to play our Wwise event. So we're going to select it and delete it. Now we're going to right-click, and under All Actions for this blueprint, go ahead and search for Post Event. And what you're going to see under Audio Kinetic is a Post Event at Location node, both a Post Event and a Post Event at Location node. Either one will work, but since the previous node was Play Sound at Location, we're going to use the Post Event at Location node and select it. Now all we have to do is connect this Spawn Actor node to my Post Event node, and here under Location, just use the Get Actor location that the previous node was using. Alright, so now it's going to post an event at the location that we specified. All we have to do is choose which event we want it to play. So if I go here under AK Event and open up the drop-down, you'll see that our Play Gunshot Audio Kinetic event, which we created earlier, is the only available option. Click it to select it, come up to Compile, click Compile. If you click Compile and get a green check mark, it means you're good to go. Let's go back to the editor. And there's one more step that we have to do. Let's go to the Build option, open up the drop-down, and under Audio Kinetic, click Generate Sound Banks. Go ahead and click Generate. And what you want to see down here is Sound Bank Generation Complete. You'll get this dialog that says 2 changes to source content files have been detected. Go ahead and click Import. Now, if your sound banks don't generate successfully, what you want to do is come over here to the output log and check if there are any errors. If there are any errors in the output log, go ahead and copy and paste them to the comment section, and we'll try and get it figured out for you. Alright, now that the sound banks have been generated successfully, we should be able to click play and hear our PureData gunshot plugin whenever we fire the gun. And voila! We've successfully integrated Wwise with the Unreal Engine and added a custom plugin. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for this video. I hope that this was helpful for some of you and informative. And I know it's a very detailed and tedious process, and there's lots of opportunities for errors. So if you encounter some difficulties or if you encounter some errors, go ahead and post them in the comments section, and I'll be sure to get back to you, or someone else is going to help you out in a timely fashion.